The average person owns 300,000 items and spends 12 hours a week caring for them. Over a lifetime, that adds up to 7 years serving things that should serve you. But there's a Japanese concept that can eliminate anxiety, exhaustion, and emptiness in just a few days. It shows that most possessions harm your mental clarity. Industries that profit from consumption spend billions to keep you from discovering this truth. Some people live in small spaces and feel more peaceful than those in mansions. They have almost nothing, but miss nothing. Meanwhile, you feel trapped in your own room because of too much stuff. This happens because your mind is overloaded. Today, you will learn why a 400-year-old philosophy can end the chaos of modern life. You will see why having fewer possessions brings freedom. Aiko, a woman in Tokyo, spent a week counting everything she owned, piece by piece, item by item. When she finished, the number was hard to believe. More than 10,000 items. She was surprised. More than that, it gave shape to a question she already had. Why own so much when she used so little? From the outside, her life looked perfect. She had a good job, an apartment full of things, expensive clothes, and comfort. Everything was in its place. Still, she was constantly tired. It felt like her mind never turned off. After counting everything, it started to bother her. She began getting rid of some things. Then, among her belongings, she found an old document hidden inside a book that belonged to her grandfather. It was only a few pages long. At first, it seemed insignificant, just a few traditional Japanese concepts. But the more she read, the harder it became to ignore what it revealed. A few days later, she made an extreme decision. She left the apartment with only 100 items. To those looking from the outside, it seemed irrational. But for her, it was the beginning of something that finally brought clarity. To understand how Aiko reduced her life to just a few items, we need to look at the 4 pillars from that document. Chapter 1. Kanso, Simplicity. The first principle Aiko found in that document was Kanso, the idea of removing what is unnecessary to focus on what truly matters. She decided to apply it immediately. She started with something simple: her clothes. When she opened her wardrobe, she saw dozens of shirts, many untouched for months. But the issue wasn't just how many she had, it was everything that came with it. Washing, organizing, choosing what to wear every day. Small decisions repeated constantly, quietly draining time and energy. Kanso proposes something different. Instead of organizing excess, it asks you to remove it, to keep only what serves a clear purpose in your daily life, what supports your work, your health, or your routine. Everything else becomes visual and mental noise. Chapter 2. Seijaku, Quietude. When Aiko removed excess objects and noise from her space, she noticed the silence return. Without constant distractions, the environment stopped interrupting her focus. This allowed her to understand the second principle. Seijaku. Seijaku defines a state of quietness and order. It shows up when your surroundings and your routine stop competing for your attention. As the number of belongings decreases, empty spaces appear and the mind remains steady, even when there are outside sounds or movements. This principle creates a gap between what happens and how you react. This time serves to understand the situation before taking action. It means your choices stop being automatic and your actions become more intentional. 3. Mottainai. The third pillar is about using everything to its fullest and respecting resources. To avoid waste, or mottainai, means to use something until it is no longer useful. Aiko knew that having 10,000 things made it impossible to give any of them real value. When you store something without using it, it stops working and becomes a burden. She chose to own only a few things, ensuring that every single one had earned its place in her life. This principle says that the relationship you have with what you own determines how simple it is. You take care of a few things and get the most out of each one. This keeps your money safe and stops you from having to buy new things. Making the most of what you already have is how you get rich. To use this idea, look at the things you use every day. See if they do what they're supposed to do, or if they just take up space. Fix things that break instead of replacing them right away. Make the most of each resource. This way of thinking brings order and thankfulness. It gets rid of the urge to collect and instead focuses on how useful things are. Aiko learned that her things were enough because she used them all. This habit simplifies life and reduces mental stress. 4. Shizen. The final principle in the document is Shizen, which emphasizes a natural and honest way of living. This means only having things that truly reflect your true self, without worrying about how you appear to others. Aiko came to understand that a lot of what she owned was just a facade. She had designer clothes, not because she loved them, but to project a certain image. She also had books she never opened, simply to appear well-read. Naturalness ends the anxiety caused by comparison. It means living according to your nature without the expectations of others. And there is a practical power in being authentic. It stops the drain on your resources. When you quit expending effort on seeking approval, you stop wasting energy on a life that doesn't belong to you. This clarity naturally flows into your finances and your daily routine. By stripping away the need to impress, you're left with the only thing that actually brings you happiness. Aiko found freedom when she stopped pretending. She felt free when she accepted her own reality. Living according to your needs brings a lightness. Aiko carefully selected only the essentials to meet her daily needs. She stopped keeping objects just for their appearance, realizing that every possession demands its own share of effort to clean, organize, and maintain. Estimates suggest that on average, people spend about 7 years taking care of objects throughout their lives. This time can be used for rest and leisure. By simplifying the environment, you avoid excessive energy expenditure on unnecessary consumption. Having fewer objects results in more free time to engage in the activities you enjoy. 6 months later, Aiko had more energy in her routine. She saved money and started sleeping better. Reducing the volume of belongings brings the focus back to what you do in the present. Time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. Simplicity generates practical and immediate peace. You have the right to decide how to use your hours in a useful way. Your transformation begins with the space you create in your environment today.